It's one thing to listen to doom and gloom about food and fertilizer shortages, skyrocketing prices, the cost of living, or your job being outsourced overseas or eliminated due to automation. It's quite another thing to hear practical, immediately actionable advice from experts who can help you reduce the fear, anxiety, and burden of these problems. Tune in now to the Surviving Hard Times podcast from the Finding Genius Foundation with Richard Jacobs. Before we begin, a note from our sponsor. I'm Richard Jacobs, Executive Director of the nonprofit Finding Genius Foundation and host of the Finding Genius podcast. In late 2016, I was rear-ended at 65 miles an hour by a truck on the highway, which sent me off-road into a ditch. The impact of the collision gave me a concussion and other injuries. At the hospital, a CT scan showed that I had thyroid nodules, which turned out to be cancer. It was then, when I had a biopsy of my neck, that I realized even if I was a millionaire, I wouldn't want a second or a third biopsy due to the pain and the invasiveness of it. And appointments at that time for thyroid experts were 3 to 6 months out, and I was worried about dying now, even if that was irrational. So because of this, I've decided to raise money to conduct a literature review on steroids, on the causes of anxiety and depression, a condition that affects well over 50 million people in the United States and hundreds of millions worldwide. Our goal is to create a codex, a guide that reveals all possible treatments for anxiety and depression for people that live with the condition, or for loved ones that have it, as my wife and my son do. To find out more about our fundraiser, visit findinggeniusfoundation.org and click on Current Initiatives. And now, to our guest. Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with the Surviving Hard Times podcast, sponsored by the Finding Genius Foundation.
My guest today is Sebastien Bonneu. He's the founder of Countryside Farm. Visited him about a month ago here in Texas, and we had a really good time. He was a very, very gracious host. I got to see all the livestock that he's growing. So we're going to talk about that today. So Sebastien, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, tell me a bit about your background. I believe you're from France. How did you come over to the U.S. and get started on this farm?
When I moved over here, I did an apprenticeship in France, like a baking and pastry apprenticeship. And I had an opportunity to move to Texas. So I just came down, work over here in a bake shop for about a year. And then I moved to Austin. I worked in a restaurant for about 10, 12 years, something like that. And when we came to the point where we had to buy, basically a house, we had to buy a house, and we find like a house in the country with 7-acre land. And then we started this project. I could work from home.
Yeah, and you're focused on various birds. So turkeys, geese, chickens, etc. So what do you have on your farm? And, we'll go through the different animals and why you chose them. So go ahead.
So try to have basically older breed or heritage breed. So geese, we have a giant dewlap. It's actually a pretty rare bird. Chicken, we do Bresse, who's like a breed from Burgundy in France. And a couple of years ago, we started turkey, do red bourbon turkey. So the focus is to raise the best bird to have the best quality.
Okay, well, let's start with the turkeys. Those are big, huge. They look like football players, 2 male turkeys we saw walking around. So what got you into doing turkeys, and is that a pretty rare thing for someone to raise them?
Well, as a small farm, we got to make the difference on the quality on the product. If we want to compete from bigger enterprise. So I have 2 breed of turkey. I have some Heritage Gold. I only have some hens of that, and we do a red bourbon. It's like an old breed. One of the good things about using heritage breed is like this year we're hatching older eggs. So I can keep 20 hen turkey and a few tom and having a potential of between 700 or 800 eggs every year.
So turkey eggs?
Yeah, turkey eggs.
Does anyone ever eat turkey eggs? I just thought about that. I don't know if I've ever seen turkey eggs.
Well, you can, but a turkey will lay less eggs than a chicken. Test-wise, I don't think there's so much difference but the turkey will not produce as many eggs as chicken, and it will eat more. So that's why you don't probably find, unless you know someone who has turkey and don't hatch the eggs, then that will come around, and you find farmer markets with a few people who's gonna have turkey eggs. But it's not necessarily someone is not necessarily gonna raise turkey to have an egg production out of it.
Oh, because if they did, they'll have to charge a lot of money because of so few eggs.
I think the price would be an issue. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. So you sell the whole turkey once it's come to maturity just for Thanksgiving or other times a year?
At this point, I mean, we can sell them year round. Don't keep so many in stock, but I have a few right now. Well, I mean, I'm gonna hatch turkey until July, and after July, then if I hatch them, those birds will not be ready for Thanksgiving or Christmas. So one of the things about using heritage breed, if they get mature longer. So my turnover on a red bourbon turkey is gonna be 6 to 7 months to have a nice bird.
Okay. So people buy turkeys from you just for holidays or for what reasons? Just to have or?
To eat them. And no, I mean, I sold one yesterday. They're actually good. I mean, it's a good bird. We eat some we don't usually eat him on Thanksgiving. We eat him year round.
Okay, well, that makes sense. And I saw you had a lot of ducks, but you don't sell duck eggs. You sell the whole ducks themselves as well?
Right now, I got a few duck eggs. It's not going to last. I don't think I'm going to have no more than another month. Well, in the winter, we do white Muscovy ducks. And we do the hen for roasting. And I have a foie gras production to make foie gras out of it.
So you have foie gras ducks, and then you have regular ducks that are just sold entirely for eating. And the foie gras is separate.
Well, they all made for eating. The female are going to be like a 5-pound bird. So it's a good bird to roast. It will give you it's a good roasting bird. You can also break it down, get your breast, whatever. Yeah, the male are all going to force feeding, and the purpose of it, is to have foie gras. And the ducks actually change. Like the foie gras duck is not the same quality bird than a pasture duck. It's gonna be more quality.
Yeah, but when people eat the foie duck, do they eat the whole thing, or there are only certain parts that they eat?
No, I mean everything is eatable, but I say that. Yeah, I mean you get breast. Like I said, on the foie gras, your breast is gonna be bigger, a little bit more fatty. It's gonna have the foie gras flavor, and it's part of the delicacy things.
Okay, I got it. And when are ducks available? Are they available year round? How long does it take to raise a duck to be able to sell it for meat?
It takes for foie gras ducks, it takes about 5 months to do the entire project. For a roasting ducks, it can take anywhere from 9 to 12 weeks. Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. So, all right, so you have foie gras ducks, regular ducks, turkeys, and then you also have multiple different kinds of chickens. Is that correct? What else do you have?
On chicken, on the winter, usually I get a few batch of Freedom Ranger, a meat bird who forage more than your regular production bird, and they do really well free range. So I don't have any pen or anything. Like all my birds are free range. So the property is kind of cut up. The bird actually make their own division. Like the ducks and the geese would rather be closer from the pound, and the chicken, turkey, and we also have some guinea hen will stay on the upper property where there will be more grass and more shade.
So what do customers, do they typically buy from you repeatedly or for holidays, or like what do customers do? Do they, you're not at farmers markets, so they either come to your farm or you deliver, but like what does a typical customer buy, where it varies tremendously?
Yeah, it varies. I have different customers, different want. Like now, I mean, it's been like 6 months and I didn't have any guinea hen on stock, so I got a bunch of people asking me for guinea hen, and I will raise them like all summer long. So depending, it's kind of when we find, and it was much better to do different breed of bird, different time of the year. So guinea hen.
I was going to ask you in the summer versus the winter, which birds are, does the taste change a lot, and when's the right time to buy any of these birds?
It's not necessarily the taste. It's more like a comfort zone. So ducks will be much better to raise in fall and go through the winter because they like the cold more than chickens or whatever. And when you get like what now in spring, I mean, today it's 90 degrees over here, the guinea hens are having a blast. And guinea hens will not, I mean, even if the temperature goes to 110, they're not going to be very comfortable, but they going to stay alive.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say bad things about birds that are not free range, but what have you noticed and what do your customers say about your birds versus ones they'll get at like HEB or some, some grocery store? What's the difference that you see and what's the difference that they see?
I mean, flavor and consistency of the meat it's what it is. It really like go down to only those 2 points.
Okay, so the flavor is better with your birds. You mentioned while we were there that there are actually multiple different kinds of chicken in France that people buy, but here it seems to be only one, and that you tried some of the commercial type hens here, but it didn't work out so well. Can you talk about the types of chicken you have and why?
So yeah, well, all we have is breast, and yeah, because I got rid of the broiler, they're just. I mean, to me, I find that they're just stronger. They're gonna have least body issue, leg problem, with like an issue on my commercial chicken. I don't have to necessarily babysit them so much. They will live on their own. Like I keep my baby chick for 3 weeks in like a smaller barn, and after they move him to a bigger pen when he can get adjusted, and then after that the door is open. So they can go in and out of the shelter and they need. So it took me, by time it take me a little bit longer to get a bird like that, but it doesn't require so much protein on the feed. It doesn't require, and they get a lot of their food on their own. So I think in a way, like they eat less than a production chicken.
Okay. Yeah, I think you said that the regular, type chickens are they're such a mess and they're so stupid, I guess, for lack of a better word, that if you don't raise them just right, they can hurt themselves or kill themselves or...
They were conceived to be raised in a closed environment. So to actually produce more meat than we could do with heirloom bird. That was the goal of it. So as soon as you can remove perfect weather, probably eventually gonna get to some issue. They don't like a lot of rain. They don't like when it's cold, and they have to be at the perfect. They have to have the perfect environment to have the perfect growth.
Okay, so they're less hardy than the other birds, yeah.
I mean, if you put them on pasture, yeah, I think they're less hardy, yeah.
Okay.
And there is plenty of breeder chicken that we can raise for meat, and in a way, I don't have to buy baby chickens. Like my hens lay eggs. When I have enough eggs, I've got their own chickens, and they don't require all the heat or electricity. So, in July over here, it's going to be 100 degrees. One heatland, I can keep like 200 chicken warm, and they only gonna need it for like 10 days. And after, when they're 20 days old, they can be free range.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't have to take care of them. I don't have to move pens every day. They will use an area, and they will go back to the grassy area to get the bug without completely destroying it.
Okay, excellent. So do people come to you to pick up the animals, or do you deliver? And what, I know the cost depends on what the animal is, but again, do you deliver or do people pick up? How do they get the animals from you?
And get what they need. We do delivery in Austin on Tuesday and Thursday. I do a pickup once a month in Houston.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So people place their order. We have a website, online store, go to a Countryside Farm bound to door. People place their order on it, and we find a way to meet.
Okay, and the website is Countryside Farm what? The website is Countryside Farm what?
We can send you a link if you want.
Be great. We can include that. That's no problem.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when I went there, you were a very gracious host, and the samples of duck and meat that we had were absolutely delicious. So it looks like you've got a really good product there that people may want to look at. Do you ship out the birds, or do people have to live locally in order to get them?
I can ship anywhere in Texas, but I don't sell outside Texas.
Okay.
I don't have my plan is like, I butcher all the bird on site, but I just have like a Texas exemption. I don't have like the whole space one anyway.
Okay. I understand. Well, very good. Sebastien, thank you for coming on the podcast. And again, it's Countryside Farm outside of Austin, Texas here. Thank you very much for being on this podcast. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.
Before you stop listening, ask yourself, what are 1 or 2 useful things you heard on this podcast that can help you overcome food and fertilizer shortages, skyrocketing prices, the cost of living, or your job being outsourced overseas or eliminated due to automation? Please like and subscribe and tell your friends and family about their Surviving Hard Times podcast. We're all going to need help now and in the near future.